Hey everyone, and welcome to another episode of Mountain Blade Bannerlord Mods of the Week. This time we discuss the mods that came out in week 6, and there's some really cool additions that expand the overall gameplay experience and offer, once more, new ways to enjoy the game in an immersive way. Still got the smaller, quirkier mods out there too for those who enjoy these types of mods. But before we head into the list of mods of the week, I would like to remind you first to please go and check out some of my other YouTube channels you can find in the description down below. I have a Star Wars Battlefront 2 mod focused channel, a gaming review channel, and several Let's Play channels. If you like what you see, then please subscribe to some of those channels as it helps me out a lot. Now without further ado, let's go and talk about those mods. For the first mod of the week, we take a look at Calradia Expanded, which offers more to see and do in the existing world. It adds almost 100 new areas to go to, including 77 villages, 14 towns, and 8 castles. These new areas are all laid down on the existing map, so the overall map will not actually be expanded. Instead, the existing one will be more crowded. But that's not all it does. It changes some of the locations of existing castles to make more sense from a defensive perspective. I think the addition of many more villages is a good thing, since it adds more areas to recruit, but also do quests and of course pillage. If you're going for world domination, there's a lot more that you need to pillage, but also can gain loot in a quicker way. Especially areas like the deserts and snowy mountains bear a striking difference, since they can be a bit barren in the vanilla game. Now you can spend as much time clearing out settlements as you can elsewhere. Don't expect any miracles in terms of new looks of the towns and villages though. It's just more of the same. But if the same tastes just as good, it is a welcome addition. Definitely worth a try and see if you can conquer this fuller map with your army. Next up, we have the Assassinate Mod. The Assassinate Mod is pretty self-explanatory, in that with this mod, you can now assassinate lords. Reading the title, it immediately gave me flashbacks to early Total War games, where you could send in assassins to deal with high-ranking opposition. There was always a chance it might go wrong, and so it was high risk, high reward, as the successful assassination of the enemy would cripple the army he had under his belt. Now, you can do the same thing in Bannerlord, though it works a bit different, since you are the assassin here. Whenever you head towards a keep, you get the option to try and assassinate whoever is in there currently. You have a percentage success rate if you can sneak in successfully, but if you do succeed, it doesn't guarantee you will assassinate the Lord yet, for you have to do the killing yourself. You walk up to the Lord and fight him in his keep. It is an easy way to deal with the Lord without having to go up against his mighty army. But again, all sorts of things can go wrong, so it's high risk, high reward. The fighting, for example, is anything but ideal, since the keep is very cramped and narrow. But what's worse is that if you fail the success rate of sneaking into the keep, you will have to deal with the guards, and dealing with multiple guards in such a small area is assured to get you killed. I do like it more in Total War, where you send out an assassin, so maybe someday this mod can be updated to include this and have an assassin unit amongst your troops. For our next mod, we actually take a look at a neat little mod that can be a bit compared to the Assassinate Mod, but in a different style. The Duels mod lets you duel lords you meet out in the open instead of fighting their entire army. You've all seen scenes in movies, but also some games, where leaders meet up in the midst of the battlefield before a battle starts, and they say to each other, "Let's settle this, just you and me, and whoever's last standing wins." Now you can make that a reality with this mod. There are some prerequisites that need to be adhered in order to demand a duel, and that is that the lord in question is not too close to a town or castle, and also is not near any other armies or lords. If you demand the duel, the battle will become 1 versus 1, often greatly being in your favor. We have seen this duel mechanic in other games or mods for Warband previously, and it's really cool, but can be used easily to overpower difficult enemies. If you get caught by an army that's 4 times the size of yours, just duel the Lord and be done with it. Whereas in reality, a Lord with such an advantage would never agree to a duel, so it can be a bit immersion breaking depending on how you look at it. Still, the fact that you have one more option to deal with an encounter is always a welcome one, and is definitely worth a try to see if you would be the best one-on-one fighter in the land. Then for the following mod, we have a smaller one, but a mod that can be very handy for those who are in search for specific goods either to trade or that they need for a quest. With the Village Product mod, you can see what its primary production is whenever you look at it. Instead of having to hover over a specific village and search for its production, you can read it for every village individually, making it easy to mark your next destination. It's a convenience of life mod that I think many will like since it creates less hassle. And since of course you can see its production in the vanilla game anyway, it also isn't immersion breaking that you can now see it more easily. It's a win-win situation, and even though it's small, it might be considered a must download for many of you. Next up, we have a mod that addresses the game during giving orders to your troops while in battle. There have been mods previously that pause the game while doing that, but much like Dark Souls and other strategy games, it is more common to have slow motion be used to remain a bit of pressure. The cinematic slow motion mod does just that. Whenever you press the buttons to choose an order, the game slows down to half speed by default. This gives you more time to make choices, but never lets you breathe freely, especially when enemy cavalry is fast approaching. In fact, cavalry is so fast that it took me a while to notice that they were indeed going a lot slower. You can still adjust the amount of slow motion you want, so it is also possible to slow the game down with 75%, which might be more to some people's liking. It's all about customizing your preferred type and can give you enough time to set up for an enemy charge or ambush. I would recommend this over the paused version since this is still keeps somewhat of a danger while giving you a tiny bit more leadway. Then for our final mod of the week, we have the No Houdini Mod, which is a very fancy name for a mod that fixes the issue where prisoners would get out of the keeps very quickly, basically making the effort to capture and imprison high-ranking enemies obsolete. With this mod, you are guaranteed that the prisoners will stay in their cell for at least 180 days, after which they then get the vanilla chance of being able to escape or break out. This now actually helps you to clear out some of the opposition and has a greater effect and therefore motivation to deal with the prisoner system. Now it's not only a matter of coin, but you can really weaken your competition by picking off targets and putting them behind bars. For those who don't care about prisoners and who always skip this step, this mod might not be that interesting. But for those who do, this mod can be a solution to a lot of headaches. And with that, we have come to another end of mods of the week. I'm still very pleasantly surprised of how many mods come out that enhance the experience with immersive new ways to play, or that add options that feel logical. We are slowly also starting to see some more crazy mods out there, meaning that hopefully the first early access release of a Total Conversion mod is not too far away. There's a great mix out there, and as I said in the previous video, I will probably do a video at the end of the month where I talk about essential mods to have for immersion. Don't forget to let me know of a mod you think deserves to be talked about in this weekly show by leaving it in the comments down below. Thank you all so much for watching, and I will see you all next week.